Hello, in this video, I'll be talking about animations for the navigation component. I'll show you how to add full page animations as well as share element animations where we can animate individual views while transitioning. If you're new to the navigation component, be sure to watch the video on the navigation component posted in the video description. To begin, create some destinations for the navigation component. Open the navigation graph. Then click on the new destination icon and add two new destinations. Name the first one page 1 and the other page 2. Lastly, add an action. Find an image you can use and drag the image file into the drawable folder under the resource directory. In the navigation graph, double-click on the page 1 destination. This will automatically open the layout file for that particular destination. Switch into the code view and change the layout from frame to constraint. Switch back to the design view and add an image view for the image you place in your project. Add the constraints. Set the width and height to 200 dp, and then set the scale type to center crop. Next, go back to the navigation graph and double-click on the page 2 destination so we go directly to the layout file. Switch into the code view and change the layout from frame to constraint as well. Go back to the design view and add an image view with the image you chose in page 1. Add the constraints. Set the width to match the constraints and the height to 400 dp. And then set the scale type to center crop. Lastly, go into the page 1 fragment class file and add a reference to the image view. Then add an on-click listener to it and call the navigate method from the navigation controller. We want to navigate by using the action, so we need to pass in the ID of the action instead of the destination. If we run the application and click on the image, we should transition to page 2. To add animations, go to the navigation graph. Click on the action that you want to add animations to. Then put in an animation file in the fields under the animation section of the attributes pane. The enter_anim attribute is the animation for the destination that's entering the navigation host, and the exit_anim attribute is the animation for the destination that's exiting the navigation host. We can type anim and we will see some animations that were provided for us. We can use the default slide in left animation for the enter animation, and we can use the default slide out right animation for the exit animation. If we run the application, we will see a slide effect. Instead of using the predefined animations, we can also create our own. In Android Studio, select the Android option from the drop-down menu. Right-click on the resource folder and go to New, Android Resource File. Give the file a name and change the resource type to animation. This will create an anim directory with our XML animation file inside. With the animation file, we can create an animation to translate, scale, rotate, and change the opacity of the views. First, set the duration of this animation. The duration attribute accepts a millisecond value, so if we want the animation to last 1 second, I will put 1000 since 1000 milliseconds is 1 second. Next, we can either translate, scale, rotate, or change the opacity. If I want to create a slide in animation, I will use translate to move the views. When something slides, it can go from left to right, so I want the view to start at a position that is far enough that it is not visible on the screen. I can put in a numeric value like -1000 to place the view 1000 spaces to the left, or I can put -100% and it will place the view on the left depending on the width of the view. Then I want it to end up at 0 pixels. With this, it will move the view from left to right in 1 second. If we go back to our navigation graph and click on the action, we can replace the enter animation with the custom animation file. If we run the application, it will move from left to right, but at a slower pace. Aside from full page animations, we can also apply animation to individual views in a layout. There's a 3-step process. First, we need to assign a name to match each view in the layout that we want to animate. Second, we need to tell the navigation controller which views we want to animate. And third, we need to set the type of the animation that we want to use for the views during the transitioning phase. In our example, we have a small image view in page 1 and a larger image view in page 2. If we want to animate it to gradually increase in size while transitioning, here's how we will do that. Double-click on the page 1 destination to go to the layout file. Give the image view a name, click on it, and search for the transition name attribute in the attributes pane. Next, go back to the navigation graph and double-click on the page 2 destination. Click on the image view and search for the transition name attribute again. This time, put the same name you used for the image view in page 1. Now that we named the views that we want to animate, we have to tell the navigation controller that we want to use this image view for the animation. Go to the page 1 fragment class file. Create an extras object from the fragment navigator class. We use this object to tell the navigation controller which views we want to use during the animation. Just before we call the build method to create the extras object, call the add share element method and add the views we want to animate. Pass in the image view reference and its transition name. If you have more than one view you want to animate, call the method multiple times to add them. Next, add the extras object in the navigate method call. Lastly, set the animation you want to use for the view. Go to the page 2 fragment class file. In here, we need to set the type of animation we want to use for the shared views. Call the set share element enter transition method, and then pass in the change bounds animation. The change bound animation will detect the position, size, scale, and opacity of the views in both layouts, and then gradually change the values. Now we're done, but as best practice, we should not have a full page transition animation with share element transitions. Go back to the navigation graph and remove the enter and exit animation from both actions. If we run the application and click on the image view, it will enlarge itself while transitioning to page 2. Thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. If you have questions, leave a comment in the comment section. See you in the next video.